My WWE The Bash 2009 pay-per-view review. Overall, this was more or less just a throwaway pay-per-view from WWE. Now, you got one great match on here, then you got another match that was pretty solid, and not only that, you have a good build-up to a feud down the line. But other than that, pretty much everything else in this was, either, very lackluster or at best, average, watchable. Now, it started off with the ECW Scramble match with, Christian versus Jack Swagger versus Finley versus Tommy Dreamer versus Mark Henry. And the way this Scramble match was, now, the last Scramble match is at Unforgiven, if I'm not mistaken, they were 20-minute time limit rules. This one right here was a 15-minute time limit for the Scramble match, and it started off with Jack Swagger and Christian, and then every 3 minutes another wrestler came out. The first wrestler to come out after them was Finley, then Tommy Dreamer, then, like everyone probably expected, Mark Henry to be the last one to come out there. And there were 5 title changes within this match. The first one was Jack Swagger pinning Finley, so obviously showed right there, even though Tommy Dreamer wasn't in the match at that point, the title could switch hands. Then Finley ended up pinning Swagger probably, 30 seconds or a minute after that. Then Mark Henry, after he was the 5th person out there around, the span of about 4.5 minutes left, he was able to get a pinfall by pinning Tommy Dreamer. Then it looked like Christian was actually going to pin Jack Swagger and become the ECW champion within the last 3 minutes of the match. But Tommy Dreamer broke the pinfall up, gave him a DDT, and Dreamer gets right there. Well, actually, before that, Swagger pins Henry. Then the last pinfall was Dreamer pinning Christian to the DDT. So everyone in this match, other than Christian, won the ECW championship, which that right there kind of shocks me. I was expecting, Christian or Jack Swagger to walk out as champion here, but Tommy Dreamer, I guess WWE wants to kind of have him have at least somewhat of a ECW title reign, probably at the longest, till the SummerSlam pay-per-view, or, losing in the next few weeks at the Night of Champions pay-per-view. But overall, this match wasn't really that good at all. You saw some decent stuff with Swagger and Christian, and Finley got in some decent stuff, but this match right here, I was kind of expecting a little bit more from it. Especially, it was way too quick, I thought. That was the only problem with it. And about 2 stars. And the next matchup was Rey Mysterio versus Chris Jericho, Mass versus IC title. And this right here was easily the match of the night. Not only the match of the night, this right here is probably my second favorite WWE match. Not my second favorite match of the year, but my second favorite WWE match of the year, right behind, obviously, what most people think the best WWE match of this year, which is the Shawn Michaels and Undertaker match. And this is just a great match between Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio. And I expect obviously, the way this match ends, I'm pretty sure this will be the last time these two be taking on each other. It's a pretty good way to end the feud. Very good match. Good back and forth action. A lot of good counters. And especially the way that match ended was pretty good, I thought. They did a lot of near falls. They kept reversing their pinfalls, and Chris Jericho ripped off Rey Mysterio's mask. He said, "Okay, I pulled the mask off." Then it was revealed that Rey Mysterio was wearing 2 masks, and he still had his mask on. Then Rey Mysterio kicks Chris Jericho in the back, gets him in the 619 position, then does the springboard splash to Chris Jericho to win the IC championship. So obviously, even though this is kind of a predictable match, because most people obviously weren't expecting Rey Mysterio to lose the match due to the fact that if he would have lost the match, that would have really adversely affected his merchandise sales. But even that way, they booked this match very good, where it looked like this match was going either way. Definitely 2 or 3 times. Definitely looked like Chris Jericho had a chance of winning. So easily match of the night, 4 stars. And probably the main reason why I'm kind of probably giving this pay-per-view a little bump in the score due to this match and the other match down later on. Then the next matchup was Great Khali versus Dolph Ziggler. This was a match that shouldn't have even been on the pay-per-view. This is just a match that should just, this is a feud or something that isn't pay-per-view worthy. Just have it on SmackDown. This is actually probably the only thing on SmackDown right at this point, because easily SmackDown is the best WWE show and probably the best wrestling show at this point. And the only thing that's really bad on there, or the one thing I do not enjoy, is the Dolph Ziggler versus Great Khali match. And in this match, you kind of see a return. You see Kane's entrance music hit. He comes out there, and he costs Great Khali the match, and he kind of somewhat helps Dolph Ziggler. So I don't know if you're going to see, a Great Khali and Kane feud, or is Kane going to be kind of like in the corner of Dolph Ziggler, kind of like a bodyguard type. But this is just a throwaway match. I would, 1 star at best. Then the next matchup was the tag team unification match for the Unified Tag Team Championships. Carlito and Primo versus Legacy, Ted DiBiase, and Cody Rhodes. Looked like, that it was obviously this match was originally going to be just a, one-on-one two tag teams against each other. Turned into a triple threat when Teddy Long came out there and announced that this match is now going to be a triple threat. Edge's music hits, so you're thinking, who's Edge's partner going to be? Some people are probably thinking, okay, maybe it's going to be Christian, since obviously he didn't win the ECW championship. That would have been kind of cool to see, but probably one of those things that it's been done so much, I kind of understand why they didn't do it. But his partner was Chris Jericho, and this is definitely a good thing that his partner was Chris Jericho, two of the top heels on SmackDown, and pretty much after they were announced as the third tag team in the triple threat match, you obviously knew they were going to go over in this match, and they do win this match when Edge wins with the spear to Carlito. And I would say about a 2 1/4 star match. Wasn't really a good tag team title match or anything, but it was a good moment to see Edge and Chris Jericho win the tag team championships, and this would be a pretty good thing. I don't see them to having these tag team titles for a long time, probably 2-3 months at the most, but it's kind of good. Like right now, you probably have the Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio feud ended, so maybe at the next couple pay-per-views you'll see something with a Shelton Benjamin versus Rey Mysterio feud, or John Morrison getting involved, especially with John Morrison getting a very huge push on SmackDown right now at the moment. Then the next matchup was a women's title match. It was Melina versus Michelle McCool. Fairly short women's match, just pretty much the typical Divas match you would expect. But I will say Michelle McCool has been improving, and Michelle McCool does go over in this match, so she's the new women's champion. So that throws out the whole thing that I was hoping for at the Night of Champions pay-per-view with Melina versus Gail Kim. So maybe they'll do Michelle McCool and Gail Kim, or just another rematch at that pay-per-view with Melina versus Michelle McCool, which is probably what they'll end up doing. I would give that women's match 1 3/4 stars. Then the next matchup was CM Punk versus Jeff Hardy for the World Heavyweight Championship. And this was a good match between these two. The one thing that really helped this match was kind of the way they booked this match. Now, some people might not like the way they end it, but I think as far as character development, it's definitely a smart way to do the booking right here. The way the match ends, okay, it looks like Jeff Hardy won the World Heavyweight title. At first, he goes for the Swanton Bomb on CM Punk. CM Punk moves out of the way. Then Jeff Hardy goes for it again, hits it, goes for the pinfall, 1, 2, 3. But at the same time, CM Punk has his foot under the ropes. So obviously you noticed that, and the crowd was, really into, seeing Jeff Hardy. They were saying, oh, they were glad, him winning here, and it looked like, he's the new World Heavyweight Champion. Then the match got restarted. They went at it for, probably 2-3 minutes, and the match ends in disqualification, where at one point when the match gets restarted, Jeff Hardy goes after CM Punk, kind of, hurts CM Punk's vision, goes after the eye. Then CM Punk's holding his eye, and he kicks the referee, kind of playing it off in somewhat of a way where obviously they're building up to him being a full-fledged heel at some point. But obviously they kind of played it off in the same way where he thought it was Jeff Hardy he was kicking. Then after the match, you saw Jeff Hardy and CM Punk getting a brawl. Jeff Hardy completely going apeshit on him. And I would say this was, for the match and the way they booked it and the way they're booking CM Punk's character and the stuff at the end, I would give this, overall, I'll give this, segment / match or whatnot, I would give it 3 stars just because it was that enjoyable, and it's definitely good storyline and character development for CM Punk right here. So expect to see them have another match at the Night of Champions pay-per-view, especially since, you got Edge and Chris Jericho in the tag team title ranks right now. So you'll see, another match between them two, and probably, like I said, Rey Mysterio versus John Morrison, or Rey Mysterio versus Shelton Benjamin. This match right here, like I said, I'll give that match 3 stars. The next matchup was the Miz versus John Cena. Now, this match was a tad bit disappointing. Now, I wasn't shocked the way this was booked, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people were expecting it the way it was booked. Cena pretty much dominated the Miz during most of the match. The Miz looked like a complete bitch in this match. It wasn't like 2 to 3 months ago where they had John Cena versus Jack Swagger on Monday Night Raw, where Cena pretty much made him into a star, and that was actually the first time I actually started not minding him. The Miz in this match just looked like a complete bitch. Cena dominated him probably for about, this match was like 7 minutes at the longest, maybe 8 minutes, and the Miz taps out of the STF. So I'm kind of expecting to see maybe a Cena going for the title at Night of Champions, since the way the main event ended. or just, maybe see another. The main event we'll probably see once again, but this match was very disappointing. I would give it, just like I did with the women's title match, they were about equal matches in my opinion, 1 and 3/4 stars. Then you had the main event, 3 Stages of Hell, Randy Orton versus Triple H. The first fall being a regular wrestling match, second fall being a Falls Count Anywhere, and the third fall, if it was necessary, which it did go to the third fall, stretcher match. What happened in the first and second fall were fairly short. The first fall, Triple H got himself intentionally disqualified, so Randy Orton was up 1-0. Then Triple H won the second fall in Falls Count Anywhere. Then after that, in the third fall, you saw the third fall last probably about 10, 15 minutes, maybe a little less than that. This match was a whole lot shorter than what I was expecting. It didn't start to probably 10:32, and then it was like the first 2 falls were probably done within the first 10 minutes or so. So it's probably like 25-minute match at the longest, and that's probably counting some of the stuff after the match as well. Like I said, the first fall, Randy Orton won. Second fall, Triple H won. Third fall, Randy Orton wins. It looks like Triple H is going to be able to roll Randy Orton across and win the stretcher match, and Legacy comes out there, gets involved. Triple H beats them up. Then Randy Orton hits Triple H. I think it was with either the title or the ring bell to Triple H, and Triple H pretty much just lands on the stretcher, and it was probably like 2 to 3 feet away from the line, and he had to roll him across, so he just rolled him across in that way. Then after the match, you see Triple H get a sledgehammer and hit Randy Orton in the back with it when Randy Orton celebrated. Now, the only thing that was kind of bad was after probably a minute after this, Randy Orton was standing up celebrating with the title. That's not the way the pay-per-view should end. It probably should just end it when Triple H, knocked him down, or Randy Orton just selling that he's completely knocked out. It kind of looked very, bad that they did that and ended it like that. So obviously the Randy Orton Triple H feud isn't over, unfortunately. Hopefully at least Night of Champions we get at least a little break from it, maybe a John Cena versus Randy Orton match or something like that, because hopefully they just end this Triple H and Randy Orton thing, but I know they're not. Now, the one good thing that came out of earlier in the night of this pay-per-view was they did a backstage segment with after a little midway during the show, after Ted DiBiase and Cody Rhodes weren't able to win the tag team championships, Randy Orton and Ted DiBiase kind of argue with each other, so you're slowly seeing a Ted DiBiase face turn, but they'll probably build it up for about 3-4 months. I would expect probably by the time of one of the October pay-per-views or Survivor Series, that would be the time you would see him turn completely face. So definitely looking forward to that, because I think Ted DiBiase has a lot of promise, and I think he could be definitely a top star in WWE. The 3 Stages of Hell match, I would give 2.5 stars. It was the completely opposite of what we saw on Monday Night Raw, where they did the Last Man Standing match, which I said if they would have did what they did in that match, this would have been a great match, but they didn't. It was just like every other Triple H and Orton match. You see maybe 2 or 3 good matches they had, and every other 10 completely suck. Overall, I'll give this pay-per-view a 6 out of 10. That might be a little high considering some of the ratings, but I'm only giving it a 6 out of 10 due to the fact that the IC title match, Mask versus IC title with Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho, I gave that 4 stars. It was an excellent match. And then the CM Punk Jeff Hardy match was a good match, and plus it had good storyline build up to the next pay-per-view, with which we're obviously going to see another Jeff Hardy and CM Punk match at Night of Champions. So that's it for my WWE The Bash 2009 pay-per-view review. All right, peace.